Hey guys, this is Tauna. Today we have the Living Energy Precon. So we're going to be fully revealing this. I'm pretty excited about it. It's a very, very awesome theme, but I don't know how well it's kind of hit that theme, but you guys can let me know later on. So we're going to go through, the new cards. We're going to go through the reprints and stuff like that, and then we're going to go just through the whole deck. So first up, this is an energy breeze precon, obviously with a whole bunch of artifact creatures and stuff. There's like this side theme of like ETBs and flickering and cloning, because there's a lot of cards that are like when energy comes in, when creatures come in, create energy, that kind of stuff. There's some nice reprints in here as well for that kind of stuff. I'll talk a little bit about the deck later, but I don't feel great about it, like compared to the other energy precons, but maybe that's just kind of me. But before we get into it, make sure you guys subscribe. This could be the last video you see from me because, the algorithm's all funky and stuff. Someone said yesterday, I haven't seen your stuff and I miss your stuff. So yeah, make sure you guys subscribe, make sure you share the video around, all that kind of stuff. And this is coming to us from the command zone. This was like, an hour ago they revealed this, and we're doing the video right now for it. So the new cards, obviously we've got Saheeli Radiant Creator as our face commander. So she has, whenever an artifact or artifact spell is cast, you get to create an energy. And then at the beginning of combat, you can pay 3 energy. And when you do create a token that's a copy of a target permanent you control, except it's a 5/5 artifact creature, in addition to its other types, and has haste. So very similar to like that Mishra's War form kind of thing, except you have to actually pay for it, except it comes in as a 5/5 instead. So this is a target permanent, so any permanent you control, you can create a copy of with this. We've got PNLR, Chief Mechanic. So she has, whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get 2 energy. So you technically can get like 6 energy if you hit 3 different people. And then at the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, create an XX colorless vehicle artifact token named Nellar Aetherjet with flying and crew 2, where X is the amount of energy spent. And that is about as far as the vehicles go within this precon. There is not vehicles within this precon really. There's like one, and that's a Manadork vehicle. That's it. But you can create, a bunch of vehicles with this and then crew them with like all the Thopters and stuff you'll be making. And you go do that, like, if you prefer that kind of strategy to go and you can also just use PR as like a huge energy dump, because this is just any energy you put into it. So you can pay like, a 5/5 if you spend 5 energy. If you have 10 energy, you can create a 10/10, which is just really cool. And I think that's a great way to have like a big energy dump. So going into the new cards, we've got, as like the other new cards, we've got Territorial Aetherkite here, a 6-cost cat dragon with flying and haste. When it enters, you get 2 energy. Then you can pay 1 or more energy. When you do, this creature deals that much damage to each other creature. So like a board wipe attached to a cat dragon. But you can technically, like, if you've got big things and other people just have little things, you can pay like 2 energy and just wipe out all the 2/2s or stuff. Like, you can choose what you want to wipe out with it, which is really, really, really cool. A very nice kind of board wipe attached to a creature. Yeah, it's pretty decent. We've got Stride Hanger Automaton. I love this one. Thopters you control get +1/+1. And then if you create an artifact token, then you're going to create a Thopter token as that token plus a Thopter token instead. So very similar to like what Peregrine took, that creates a food token as well as whatever token you create. This creates a Thopter in addition to whatever token you make. So that's a really great way to kind of go about it, because if you're going to create like, a food, then you can create a food and a Thopter. And then you've got like that additional kind of, instead of just create Thopters, it's a great way to kind of add in additional Thopters and additional tokens for your deck. Rampaging Aetherhood. So this has, at the beginning of your upkeep, you get an amount of energy equal to its power. Then you can pay 1 or more energy. If you do, put that many +1s onto this creature. So you can slowly kind of build it up. So at the beginning of your upkeep, so the second turn you've played it, essentially, like on the, not the first turn you played it, because it doesn't have it as upkeep trigger. Second turn you play it, then you can, get 4 energy, and then you can spend any energy you want, put a whole bunch of +1s on this, and then the next time around is going to pay off and create more energy. It's kind of a little bit of like a sink that you can use, as long as you are assuming that it's going to survive, right? Because it does have Ward 2 to help it survive, but you needed to survive to be able to get that energy back. Otherwise, you just kind of wasted that energy, unfortunately. We got Pima Trailblazer here. Trample. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you get that many energy. So at the moment, if it deals damage, then you're going to create 3 energy. You've got then Exhaust, pay 6 energy. You put 2+1s onto it, and then it draws cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. So kind of like a card that pays off creatures going big within Teamer energy decks, I guess, because in like the Jeskai energy decks, there wasn't so much stuff around like big things. It was more going wide and stuff. So this is a way to kind of add in more of that green flavor to replace what was white within the Jeskai decks. All right, we've got Nissa, World Soul Speaker, and she's probably one of the strongest new cards, I think. Whenever a land you control enters, you get 2 energy, and then you may pay 8 energy rather than pay the mana cost for permanent spells you control, permanent spells you cast. So, if you've got this big spell that you need to cast, you can pay 8 energy instead of pay, the 10 mana that's going to cost or whatever. And it's a great way to be able to kind of bypass the amount of lands that you've got and stuff. There's not so much ramp within this deck though, now that I'm thinking about it. So that's interesting. Like having her get the energy based off of lands you control. I guess that's just kind of Nissa. Yeah, there's not really ways to play multiple lands though. We've got Aetheric Amplifier. So this has, it's a mana rock that has tap, add 1 mana, or pay 4, tap it, double the amount of each counter on target permanent you control. Now that's just target permanent as well. So stuff like Helix Pinnacle, you can double the counters on that. Or you can double the amount of each kind of counter you have. So technically, if you've got, 10 energy, you can pay 4, tap this, create another 10 energy, which is just going to be very, very strong. I don't think there's been something that can just double your energy before. Also, if you've got experience counter, so this is great for like an experience counter deck as well, I guess. We've got Adaptive Omni Tool here. So this got equipped creature +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Nice within a deck that's got a heap of artifacts. And then also, whenever equipped creature attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal that artifact from them, put it into your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom in a random order. We've got Aetherflux Conduit. This has whenever you cast a spell, you get an amount of energy equal to the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. Really great. There is a lot of great ways to create lots of energy within this deck. Then you can tap it, pay 50 energy. This is obviously a callback to Aetherflux, Aetherflux Reservoir. Pay 50 energy and then draw 7 cards, and then you can cast any number of spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. It's not even permanent, it's just any number of spells. You're also casting them. So, if you've got those Eldrazi within your deck, you may be making like an Eldrazi energy deck. This is going to be able to allow you to cast all of them, which is just hilarious. Now, there's some with new art as well that are re-flavored to fit into the Kaladesh/Avishkar art. So we've got like a Druid of Purification here. This is obviously a spoiler to some of the ones that are reprinted as well. Druid of Purification. We've got the Lightning Greaves, which I think is everyone's favorite. Just looks amazing. We've got a Soul Ring up here. We've got Command Tower, Duplicant, Reality Shift. We've got Academy Ruins, Chromatic Lantern, Chain Reaction, Chaos Warp, and then we've got Arcane Signet. I love this Arcane Signet. I love steampunk stuff. So that's just really, really cool for me. So some notable reprints. First up, we've got Conjurer's Closet. I said before about a little bit of Flicker stuff. At the moment, Conjurer's Closet sitting about $8.50. And being able to kind of flicker those creatures that are creating energy and stuff when they ETB. That's basically what this is in there for, I guess. We've got Retrofitter Foundry. Pay 3 to untap it, or you can pay 2, tap it to create a servo, pay 1, sack a servo to create a Thopter, sack a Thopter to create a huge construct. That last bit there is going to be really great within this deck. There's a lot of Thopter stuff. We've got Lightning Greaves, equipped creature has haste and shroud, Panharmonicon. Obviously, if we've got a bunch of ETB stuff, Panharmonicon's going to be bonkers in it. Elder Gargaroth. This is one that I'm looking at, this is going to be one of my first cuts. It's not an artifact. It's basically in there for you to be able to copy it with Saheeli's ability, I guess. So that way you get additional versions of this. It's not great. It's not great within this deck. It just feels like a card that was put in here because it's a good card and because you can copy it. We've got Triplicate Titan. Now this one here, it's like, this is the difference though. Like, right, this one here is a non-artifact creature that doesn't really synergize, except for the fact it's got an attack trigger and stuff. Meanwhile, you've got Triplicate Titan, which is actually great because it has, whenever it dies, you get to create all these things. It's an artifact as well, so it just suits the deck so much better. I just wanted to kind of draw that parallel there. But both are great reprints, right? We've got Durative Purification. I put the new art in here because that's the art that it'll get, but still it's a decently priced card, above $5. And then Academy Ruins as well. You know, a decent kind of land reprint that suits the deck well because you get to bring back your artifacts to the top of your library. And then Blasphemous Act. It's a red deck. It's got red in it. It's a precon. It's going to have Blasphemous Act. And despite the fact that it's been in so many precons, it is still up there in price. So these were the ones that I predicted that were not going to get reprints in here, that I thought were going to be decent to kind of have within this deck. I'm going to do an actual upgrade later on. And this is a previous video that I've got, so you can go check that one out. But, you know, none of these got reprinted within there. So we're looking pretty good. And they're all really good cards within this deck. So going and having a look at the actual deck. So if I switch this over to decks here, obviously, you know, we're going to run under the assumption that you're running Saheeli as the commander, because I think that Saheeli is potentially the better commander. I think just being able to create that artifact creature, especially because of the way the deck's built, I think is better. So going into the actual artifacts here, I think Bespoke was only from Modern Horizons 3, and it's a good one in here. So we've got like two vehicles there. Going through the actual kind of reprints though, Decotion module's a good one to have here. Soul Guide is a weird one. Like, I don't know. I guess it's like some of it just feels like good artifact. Like we just add good artifact in here. Solar Transform is great. Cultivator Caravan I could miss. Aetherworks Marbles, really, really great, right? Like, it's just whenever a permanent you control is put into the graveyard, you're going to be doing that constantly with Saheeli. And then also with like Bootlegger Stash, you can tap your lands, create treasure, tap those treasures, like crack those treasures, get the procs off of this, and also get the procs for anything that's like when an artifact enters, say for example, a Gontai's Aetherheart that you added in because you watched my video. Chromatic Lantern, I hate within this. I don't know. I don't think Chromatic Lantern needs to be within a deck that has green within it. We could just replace this with some form of ramp, I think, and it would just be better. Panharmonicon, we've already talked about why it's amazing. So going into the actual creatures, this is where I was a little kind of disappointed, right? So they've got some in here that are like, you know, create energy that suit it well. I'm not so sure about the Pima one. I would have preferred an Artificer here instead. Aethertide Whale, just create energy and then also pay off. As you can see, like what I was talking about, the energy stuff, there is a lot of like ETB create energy. Pia and Kieran, I don't know why they're in here besides create 2 Thopters, but I guess if you're going to be cloning them. But that's the thing, is that it didn't, like, it went with a lot of ETB stuff, right? But it didn't go hard enough into it, I don't think. Like, they could have gone harder into the ETBs or harder into the artifact creatures, and I think it would have been better. We got Sai to create some more Thopters. We've got a bunch of create Thopter stuff. We've got Architect of the Untamed, which is like a baby version of that new Nissa, because it's going to create 1 energy when the Nissa creates more. Again, Solemn Simulacarium in here so that way you can clone it and stuff. Like, wow. That's the thing though, is what's his face was just better at that as well. Satya was just better at the creating clones and stuff too. So we've got the like that's yeah. What would have been better, I think, is if they made it more vehicle heavy within the precon. I think if the precon was more vehicle heavy, then the cloning also would just make more sense, because then you're cloning it with Saheeli and then creating the 5/5 that is already a creature. Aetherwind Basker is good. Create some energy whenever it attacks or enters the battlefield for each creature you control. So we're going to create a bunch of Thopters, so that goes well with it. Era of Innovation, add energy whenever an artifact or artificer enters. Thopter Spy Network's in here because it's in every precon, but also it's good if you've got like artifact creatures. But looking at this, like, look, we've got 1, 2, 3. You're not going to attack with Thopter probably. 4, 5 artifact creatures as well. Like, you're going to create some with Pia or with Saheeli, but yeah, it's not heavy on the artifact creatures. Our instants in here are pretty decent though. We've got like 2 single target removals. We've got 2 counters in here as well. And then we've got a Glimmer of Genius to scry 2, draw 2, create 2 energy, which is great. We've got land base is on the normal side, right? Like it's just a normal kind of land base for a precon nowadays. They did add in the artifact lands, the dual colored artifact lands in here, which is good. Other than that, we've got like the check lands, we've got the pain lands as well, and then the Academy Ruins. So it's kind of normal precon land base lately. Yeah, kind of normal precon land base lately. It's not too far out there. We've got the Saheeli Sublime Artificer in here, and then we've got these sorceries here with Confiscation, Coop to be able to gain control of something. We've got Attune with Aether, so I guess that's kind of ramp there, but that's also ramp into your hand, not onto the battlefield. Explosive Vegetation, though, that is onto the battlefield, which is nice. 1 with the machine, draw cards, and then Chain Reaction and Blasphemous Act for our board wipes there. So I guess you've kind of figured what I'm going to say here is that I think that they just kind of didn't go ham enough into certain aspects. They kind of went wide with regards to the precon. I think that it could have done with more focus on artifact creatures. Like there's artifact creatures that I think just would have been better within here, or just kind of ways to be able to make use of them. And like, you know, stuff like looking at my list here, Gonte's Aetherheart to start off with would have been great. And I'm not surprised that it's not within here because it was just printed within the last energy precon, but also it just suits the deck so insanely well. Or ways to be able to create more Thopters or something like that. Like just create more artifact creatures and stuff. Yeah, it's yeah, I really don't like the Chromatic Lantern in here either. Like Chromatic Lantern, I get it. I get that it mana fixes you and it is a, you know, artifact for it. An artifact like a mana rock, but it just, I don't know. I just don't think it kind of stacks up enough. And a Soul Guide Lantern is, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just wanted an artifact in here that you can copy and then use it with Saheeli to sack it or something. I don't know. Or I guess it synergizes with the Aetherwork marbles. Either way, you know, having a look at the deck at the moment, I have to see it in play and stuff like that to get more of an idea. But I'm not a huge fan of this one. I think that they just kind of cowered it out in regards to going harder into the artifacts and harder into the artifact creatures specifically. I was hoping more for like I guess more along the lines of the Mishra precon, but within Teemo and with energy instead. But I guess we'll see. I have to, you know, play it and check out how strong it is and stuff in practice. But let me know what you guys think. First kind of impressions are not great, but maybe I'd be surprised. I've been surprised by precons before. I hope you guys had a wonderful day and goodbye.